dominant forms of hip-hop, thin, bubblegum-like, hollow, shallow, stimulating body, no stirring, no soul, which is very, very sad because young people need soul-stirring music.
Yo, what up? Luxurious.
Drums and ammo.
Ghetto. Gifted. Ammbaataa.
It's Ammbaataa, baby.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. So you got the gathering, man. How you feeling?
Oh man, I feel. Let's see here. Relieved. I feel lucky. I feel good. I feel like I'm. I don't know. I haven't done this. I haven't done this in a while. I haven't, like put out anything in quite a while. So I'm kind of just a little bit. I wouldn't say nervous, but I'm just curious as to what the reception is of what I've been doing and how it's going to come off and if it's received well. So I'm anticipating it.
Well, it's tight though. Like since I've known you for a little while, like I know
Sorry about that. You'll see that all day, but continue.
That's all good. No, it's tight because I know like you're not like one of those like I'm a producer and I'm just gonna keep my head in the battle nonstop. Like you're a cat that's like, man, let me fall back. Let me take a breather. Let me go live a little bit. Let me take my eye off. It doesn't have to be all hip hop. Let me get into the zone. And now for me to know you're coming back, it's kind of like I know that you're really conscious and you're really like, you're really thinking about it. It's not like you don't just throw shit out like you're a little bit more methodical, a little bit more thoughtful.
Yeah, I think that I'm a little bit, at least, yeah, I'd say I'm more selective about what I do. So if I want to check out, I'll do that. But like you said, the fact that I'm back doing this is, because I'm in the right headspace, the hip hop spirit. You know what I mean? Like it's there, like it just came back around, it's like, it's not like it could ever leave, but it just started creeping in again. I'm just like, I'm starting to love the idea of getting back into this and start working on some music again. And so, yeah, absolutely. The fact that I'm doing this means that I'm in the right headspace. That means I got the right people around me that are making it happen with me. And that gives me all the comfortability that I need, because the last thing I'm going to do, like it's to play the label game and try to get on or try to sell this or work with people I don't want to work with just because there's a bridge there. It's just, I'm 36 and, I feel like the older that we get, the less time we have for bullshit. So it's like, if I like you, I'm gonna mess with you. If I don't, I'm fine living my life, without it.
What was the tipping point to kind of, or if you can remember, do you remember what it was that kind of like tipped you back into the zone? Like, was it an artist or was it like a production or was it, what was it?
Right. What was it exactly? I can't really explain. I can't really remember exactly what it was, but I do remember the time that it was. It was late 2018 is when I started, pecking around at my sounds and what I had in my, just like kind of firing up the old laptop that I was working on, working on in 2011 and 12. You know what I mean? I was just like, well, this thing's ancient now, but let me just see what's on here. And I don't know, man. I think it just came back organically. It just kind of like, like it just came on its own. And you know what? One of the and I've said this before in a different talking to somebody else, but one of the North Stars for me to get me motivated is usually like Alchemist. Alchemist usually kind of brings, what I mean? Like he's always releasing something and he'll always bring me back to, that sound that, really gets to you. You know what I mean? That makes you feel inspired, at least for me. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, he kind of gets you back on that foundation, like that kind of gets you back on that base, like solid, like okay, so that's kind of that's my arena, that's my ballpark, and I
Right.
could definitely see that. I could see that. I could see that. I was gonna say, but you did put out the instrumental album though, the Good, right?
I'm sorry, what was that? Sorry.
You did the Good album though, right? The instrumental joint.
Yeah.
I keep it real. I just listened to that 2 seconds before we started, and that thing was, I mean, like you put a lot of work into that. Like that wasn't like you didn't just whip that up, you know, like all the sound bites and stuff like that. Like that was hard.
Well, I appreciate it, and you know the good that came out of nowhere, and basically let me just tell you the real story of how that even came out. I've been waiting for the album, the Gathering, to be released, and while we were waiting, my label owner and my business partner, he was feeling kind of antsy because we were like, okay, we're not sure if we're even going to release this album on the 24th of April, which was the original release date. And the reasons being because of the coronavirus. The coronavirus hit and it just kind of blew everything apart. It blew up all our plans. Every video that we had in the works had to immediately stop.
Mm-hmm.
So it stopped all production. And we're like, well, what are we going to do here? We're like, well, maybe we'll release it on the 24th of April, or we'll kick it down the road. And so because we had downtime, I decided to go ahead and put a project together through the advice and the blessings of the label. And they're like, yeah, just put something together. Let's do something for the potheads on 420 and blah, blah, blah. And we're having this conversation on like on April 3rd or something like that. And I'm like, okay. So I basically spent 7-8 days, full days working on it, and that's the end product that came out of it.
So you just dug into it. You're like, all right, I'm gonna do this and just let me knock this out in 2 weeks, two weeks basically, generally.
Yeah, it was about like a week and a half, and then you gotta get it up to all the outlets and all that stuff. But yeah, it was kind of like I felt, the thing is, I can't turn it off. Like, just because an album is coming out or we're anticipating something doesn't mean that I can turn off the creativity or the desire just to work. You know what I mean? And that's what it was. It was all fun. You know what I mean? I was like, let's just have some fun and make something that, was good to ride to smoke to, whatever you want to do.
That's perfect. That's what I was thinking. I was like, man, I wish I was going to LA right now, man. That's just a good rider. Ooh! I was like, yeah, that was perfect.
Yeah.
Man, so I want to, do the traditional, because like I've known you for a minute, but there's still just some, some of those fundamentals, like where are you from? What influenced you? Just some of the basic stuff, because like I was saying, like I could imagine you, like I know you're into different music.
Yeah.
And I know, like, at some point, you might want to veer off and get into completely different, it may not be hip hop, it might be something different. So I just want to hear some of the earlier ideas and some of the things that kind of kicked you off.
Right. Okay. Yeah, let me go back to the beginning. So I'm from, I mean, I was born in Hayward, but I grew up out here in the Central Valley. Stockton, Manteca, Modesto. This is my area over here, and so there really isn't a scene of anything over here. It's just it's farm workers, it's construction workers, it's blue collar and a little rural, at least back then. Now it's a little bit different, but and so the only people in my town that were doing music were people that I just tried to link up with, and so, you kind of start making music at someone's house, and someone needed a DJ for their uh, crew or something like that over here, and the production thing kind of just took off. I mean, I've always been a DJ. I started as a DJ first, and then the production thing just kind of took my imagination, and that just took over. And so we're talking 2000, maybe 2001, 2000 is when I first started making music. I mean, I was DJing in like 96 when I was leaving 8th grade going into high school. That's when I started DJing, but the production started in 2000, 2001. And I kind of I've always, what's funny is that I've always kind of looked at it as a little more than a hobby or just something fun to do. I never tried to be someone that was, I was never fully business minded, but I also took it more seriously than anybody else that I was making music with. And that's no knock on them. I mean, they were either they were going through a phase and they just liked making music, and then, oh yeah, I used to rap, I used to make beats back in the day, something like that. But it's funny, they used to call me coach because I'd be in the studio. I'd be like, okay, now you lay a 16-bar verse, and then I'm gonna do this, and then and then they'd be like, okay, coach, like you telling us what to do. And
Somebody got to be that person, though. Somebody's got to be the one to kind of execute. Like, man, let's get it. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And so that's kind of, so I was more of the person that when all my boys were hanging out, I'd be in the bedroom at their house making the beats while they're out front, drinking, smoking, and just like doing whatever. And that's how I got my start, just basically isolating myself at whoever had equipment's house, and we make music. And so so from there, I was ping-ponging between here and the Bay Area, because I went to the Art Academy in San Francisco for a while, because that was another one of my interests, to be into advertising and oil paintings and stuff. And I could still do that stuff. But
yeah. Wow. Okay.
Yeah. But the thing is, music production, at some point you kind of realize, like, all this other stuff I like doing as a hobby, but music is something that I'm pretty serious about, and I take seriously, and want my craft to become as good as I could possibly make it. And so, and from there, that was the start, and everything else just kind of like starts to connect. You start meeting people, like one of the first songs that I got like on something that I could actually say, yeah, I got on, that was Planet Asia's album.
The Medicine, or not the Medicine, was it?
No. That was all Evidence. Yeah, he produced all of that.
I'm tripping. Yeah, I'm tripping. Yeah.
No, the one that he and I got together on, and I ended up getting them, giving him and Walt Liquor, who's now my manager, who was Planet Asia's manager, 3 beats for that album. And that was on the Jewelry Box Sessions album. And that came out, I want to say 2006 or something like that.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, that's deep.
Yeah. And then from there, it just kind of just builds. You get some confidence. You start to sell some beats on the side. And then you're getting calls from this person and that person. And then I was just trying to maintain relationships and build as much as I could with all of these people until I got burnt out. And that's when I kind of just, I needed to take a check out around like 2011, something like that. I was like, you know what? I need to get my life in order. I got this girl that I like, and she has an apartment and a car note, and she has a real job.
Yeah.
So I was just like, I need to step my game up here because, she liked that I was a music, beat maker, and I've worked with some people, but, that's only cute until.
Yeah, yeah, got to turn up. I was just saying, so from who influenced you? Like, if you're DJing and then you got into production, was there somebody that made you turn the needle? Like, was there somebody that you heard that made you go, I want to get into production from DJing?
Okay, yeah. It's still the same people: Alchemist, DJ Premier, Pete Rock, those, and believe it or not, I was really influenced by Anticon. Anticon.
I remember,
Yeah.
yeah, Anticon from out here.
Yeah, I love their music production. Like that kind of stuff just blew me away because it was experimental. It was different. It was heavy in drum loops and drum sounds and just unique samples. Like it I was, as a music lover, you can choose what kind of buffet you want to eat from. You know what I mean? So it's like I got my Alchemist over here who's producing for all of these Dilated People songs and Swollen Members and all of that. And then I got DJ Premier, who's one of my idols, and I'm pretty sure most people's idols, on that album, Moment of Truth. That was that was everything to me. That, and then Soul Survivor from Pete Rock, the first one. I mean, after that, I got the basics of what I need. You know what I mean, to learn from.
Straight up. So those are the cats that kind of shaped you and kind of put you in the line of where, like, okay, I'm gonna get into this production, and that was your blueprint.
Yes, absolutely. That's
funky. So when you get the Planet Asia, you get those placements. What's the next step to, like, you weren't like focused on trying to dig into the industry more. You were more focused on like getting your name out there, right? That was kind of more the focus.
Yeah, I'd say that that's fair. Because earlier on, when I started, like, getting some placements with people, the thing that inevitably comes your way once you start making a little, noise for yourself is people start coming to you offering, production, like production, what am I looking for? They start bringing to you mainstream artists, people that are in development deals from major labels, major indie labels, and then they'll say, hey, this so-and-so has got a development deal over here at, Columbia, and you don't know who they are. They're no names at this moment, but like, once you make some stuff like this, and then, I have an ability to kind of like make what I want, just as a music fan. I've worked at it, obviously. It's not like something that comes completely natural, but I'm able to make, some pop songs, some trap music, like whatever the client wants, I can make that. But that is the part that kind of burnt me out in the end. It was that, that's where you get the bigger checks, but the music that you want to make is not there most of the time.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I started learning earlier on. I was like, I was getting hit up by, an A&R from Aftermath, and then over there had contacts over at Bad Boy Records when that group Danity Kane was around, that group of girls. Like, so I was around during that time pitching songs with songwriters and stuff, while at the same time working with like Cool G Rap and, these other guys. And the fun stuff was working with like Cool G Rap. The other stuff just felt more like a job, or like, this will be my ticket to get on, and then I could do whatever I want from there. So no, I've never been a guy that just wants to be in the music business. Like, I'm somebody that likes to make music that happens to collide with the business, you know what I mean? And you know, you know, we all want to make money from this at some, you know, at some juncture, but at this point in my life right now, I have a full-time job. I have everything that I need. I have, you know, I have a good income with my wife, and we're good, you know. So all of this is just fun now, you know. It's because I really want to do it. You know what I mean?
So when I met you, it was around 2000. Oof, I hate throwing this out. I'm afraid to throw a number out, but I'm gonna say 2000. Red Bull 2008, 7.
No, you're right. You're about right there.
Ballpark, 2008, 7. So
Yep.
from then, you went from placing on albums, and then from just listening, it sounds like you were brought into the Red Bull circuit, and it felt like to me that was like another push for you. You know, it kind of gave you a little bit more exposure, opened you up to a different fan base, or just, you know, folks that are, because it feels like that was precursor to, like, you know, like the Flying Lotuses, and a lot of like a lot of the producers that are like, I produce for myself. I don't really I don't have to really focus on having artists. So it felt like Red Bull was kind of like right before that whole kind of ideology of like, man, I could just do my own thing. You know what I mean? So
Right.
what kind of evolved you into that? Because those are kind of two different things a little bit. You know what I mean? Like producing a battle, and then producing for artists. You know, so what kind of led you there?
Well, I got to be honest. I'm not somebody that really likes to beat battle. I mean, I've been in them.
I feel you.
But it's solely because, yeah, it could be some exposure, especially when the Red Bull thing came along and Jake won. You know, I knew him through someone else, and then he was just like, yeah, you should do it. And I'm just like, all right, you know, I'll do it. And so I was doing some beat battles, but that was never my thing. It's never been my calling. It's a different process than making music with other people. You know what I mean? It's not just like a regular beat most of the time. You know, it's got to come with a bunch of drops. It's got
bells and whistles, yeah.
Bells and whistles. It's a show. It's a hybrid. You know what I mean? Of hip hop. It's a specialty thing. It's the same way that turntablism isn't necessarily DJing. It's part of it, but it's not at all the same thing. And I kind of look at it that way. And so I did a little bit, but I've always gotten my enjoyment out of making like solid records with people, and you know, working with your artists, you know, with Da Vinci and ELS and whoever came down the road from you. I was all game, because, you know, that's the stuff that I really love. You know, that's the stuff that I want to do. And so, you know, when something new comes your way, it could be something that's potentially good for you. So you'll try it out a little bit. And that's basically what I did. But, you know, I'm not that guy. You know, I'm the guy that'll sit in the studio and work with you and hang out with you.
That's I'm glad to hear. It's good to hear somebody else say that, because I always say that. You know what I mean? I'm always like whenever I went to beat battles, I just couldn't even picture myself being like, let me do a beat just for these 30, you know, whatever 30 seconds it is. And then even like I got beat CDs from you back then. You know, I didn't get them from you. I don't know who I got them from. Who did I get them from? I don't know.
I think
it could have been Jake. It could have been Jake. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think it was Jake. Yeah, in Oakland. I remember this now. Yeah.
Yeah, straight up. So I got beat CDs, and even listening to those, I was like, this dude is doing like I could feel him be like he's in the songs. Like I could just listen and be like, your hype isn't about like you know, just a couple 30 seconds. Hold a second, real quick. Now hold up.
Yeah.
Sorry. So the Red Bull's popping.
Yeah.
So that's 2011. Like you said, that was tight too, man. I appreciate, like, we've always like you were like the you were like the Boba Fett to the Sweetbreads, the label we had. You know, like we would call you in for like, you know, we need that extra. Call Veterano. With the extra, like, you know what I mean, like that last minute, like. So yeah, I mean, you know, like you definitely played a big part of that, and I don't, you know, I don't even know if you met. Did you meet Da Vinci or Algia or anybody or?
I didn't. No, I didn't. I only met Da Vinci, and I met him out here in Stockton when it was that Strong Arm Steady.
That's all ELS show.
Yeah, yeah.
And yeah, that's okay. So yeah, man. Well, I mean, yeah, like I will speak for the crew and say, man, thank you. You know, like you came through and you went, you know, you went above and beyond and made it something that you know we're still proud of. Like, you know, you put in that real work, man. That was tight. We needed that. You know, like you made me look good too. Cause I was like, man, and like I was like, man, we need. I knew what we were looking for. I was like, all right, I know who to call. Like, I know who to call, and you came through and knocked that all the way out. You know what I mean? Maybe we'll link that to the interview, man. That was dope. So, yeah, that was a good run. So 2011. So now it's like So this is pretty much like you're almost at the burning out point around that 2000. So it's like, you know, 2008, 2009, 10, Sweetbreads was going. So it feels like toward, as we were doing the label, it seems like that you were getting to your point of being like, I might take a break. You know what I mean? Is it?
Yeah. Well, so when you guys were doing your thing, of course, you know, I got you know, we got ELS on my mixtape, which if you remember, you know, back in the days, mixtapes, you know, they were a little bit different than what people call mixtapes now, and those were still different than what we used to call mixtapes back in the 90s. You know what I mean? So
that's crazy.
yeah, so I had you know, built up a bunch of placements, and then I put them all together onto, you know, one project. And I wanted to have some original songs, and one of them was with ELS, and that was in 2009. Yeah, about 2008, 2009. And that was kind of when I started to like really started to build a name for myself, because I mean, one of the songs I was on there was on that, you know, mixtape was a song with Slaughterhouse. That was the very first song that they ever did. That song was the reason why they even became a group. So
wow.
Yeah, so I was in the mix with all of those guys at the time. So that's how that even happened. And so I was starting to build a name in a very serious way. And I started to, you know, back in the day, websites used to do kind of like, you know, they would brand a project with you. You know what I mean? It'd be, in this situation, it was me and Two Dope Boys, when Two Dope Boys was the you know, the biggest thing in town. And I don't know if they are or not still. I don't even follow it, much of it anymore anyway, because I'm in my own zone. But we started to do projects together, me and Shake from Two Dope Boys, and so that was going on, and so things were happening. But at the very same time, I was also kind of just done. I you know, I don't want to call it one of those things where, you know, where they say that successful people, they give up at the 5-yard line. You know, before before they get in there, they're just like, okay, I've come far enough. I see it, and I'm done, and I feel accomplished. You know, like, and I don't want to say that that's what it was, but I do feel that I was just not in the right state of mind to be successful the way that the music industry requires you to be. I was younger. I had just gotten out of like this super, you know, long and awful ending relationship with somebody. So you have someone who's young, who's living in the city,
San Francisco,
falling apart. You know, their life falling apart in one way, and then, you know, and then the music is just not doesn't sound good anymore. It's just kind of like, I need a reset from all of this. And so that's basically what I did. And I kind of left San Francisco and Oakland and Daly City, where I was, hopping around and getting apartments. I moved back to my hometown. And luckily for me, in my personal life, when I got back over here, I had some friends that I hadn't spoken to since like grade school that are reaching out, and they're like, hey, why don't you, come meet us? It was one of my friends, Monica. She reached out to me and she was like, hey, why don't you come hang out with me over at this bar here in town? And so I did that, and through that I met my wife because she was friends with her. And so then it was a wrap. Now I was like, okay, music or this thing that this new thing in my life. So I was like, you know what, let me put this on ice for a second and figure all this out. And so that's basically where everything kind of I shut everything down at that point.
I got you. So because I want to move it up and I want to get into the album. But before we get in that, let's talk about FreshYard. Kind of break that down. Just break down the who's a part of it, the little history of that.
Yeah, no doubt. So FreshYard is owned by my friend Qua, and the way that I met Qua was through Walt Liquor, my manager, and he plugged me with Qua because Qua wanted to start a record label, and so he wanted to start putting out some music. Again, FreshYard is a clothing company based in San Diego. And it's his clothing company. He has a store down there, a boutique, and it does very well. And he's like expanding, and he's been expanding and blah, blah, blah. So he wanted to start making music, and Walt was just like, well, I got the perfect person to bring into this. And he does this, he does that. And so I was brought into it around 2013. And we had been working on something, and it just never materialized or came out because we were having creative differences. I was going through like an experimental phase. I was kind of like, getting into way more into electronic production and, things that are the bizarre, the ultra creative, this stuff that was like fun for me to do. And he wanted to, they wanted to do something that was hip hop based.
Straight up, yeah. I can imagine. I met Qua a long time ago, so yeah. I know he's ahead. He's on some hip hop shit all day.
Yeah. So I was like, okay. So we kind of just like let it be what it was, and kind of like, what? I think we're just like on two different planes, and that was it. So time flies, and this is where I'll bring him back to this project. Time flies, and then around 2018, I started, as I told you in the beginning, I started wanting to make music again. And I reached out to him, and Walt had been calling me earlier in the year, like, hey, just checking in on you. You think about coming back into music and blah, blah. I was like, well, I've been thinking about it. I'm just not sure what I want to do yet. I just bought a house, what I mean? Like I got my whole thing going now, what I mean? So I'm like, I don't know. And months go by, and then I sent them both an email, and I was just like, hey, I think I've, and I remember saying this too. I said, I think I'm getting out of my coffin, and I'm starting to walk around town again. Like I'm back from the dead, basically.
Yeah, I got you. I know what you're saying. You're like, ooh, had to wipe it off, dust it off a little bit. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And I kid you not, that's all it took was me just saying, hey, I'm back in the town, maybe we can do something. I wasn't even trying to pitch anything. I was just like, I'm just letting you know I'm around. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And I'm starting to make beats again and just letting you guys know. And then right away, it was just like, well, let's do something. What do you want to do? And I'm like, okay. I've always wanted to do this. He's like, okay, let's do it. So since then, it's just been, foot on the gas pedal, you know what I mean? And a lot's come from it. So now you know, me and FreshYard, it's me, Qua, and Walt. That's FreshYard. I mean, FreshYard is really Qua, and Walt is, you know, my manager, but he's also the label administrator. So it's all kind of just like a family unit right now. You know what I mean?
I'm gonna ask you the official. Where did the name Veterano come from?
Veterano. That actually came from one of my friends back in the days when I was coming up as like a DJ producer in my hometown, and I had a poster on my wall for it was a brandy company. I had this poster. It was a brandy company based out of Spain. It was kind of like an Art Deco kind of poster. I just liked the poster or whatever.
Yeah.
And the brand of the brandy is called Veterano. And so one of my friend, he saw it, he was just like, Veterano, blah blah blah.
Yeah.
You know, that's a hard ass name. You should use it.
Yeah.
I was just like, I guess. And so he's like, no, I'm going to call you that, you know, like, let's just go with that for a little bit. So that's how that stuck, you know what I mean?
Right.
And funny thing too is the name of the brandy, I believe, is Veterano, but the product of the brandy is called Osborne. And that's my last name.
That's crazy, dude.
Yeah, and so it just came together like that. He was just like, okay, that's it, you're bet, that's it. And I was like, okay, I guess it was meant to be.
Dude, that's bananas. You might need to do some cross branding. Get on that get on that plane with all this to lift off.
Oh, absolutely.
All right, man, let's get to the meat, man. Let's get to this album.
Yeah.
So you got the album's done. You got Casual, Asia, Fashion, Mitchie, 8, man, Razzcast. I mean, I got everybody right. I was trying to not look and think Guilty Simpson. I was trying to use my, you know what I'm saying? I got a good chunk of them. Murs, man, damn. So what so you mentioned Soul Survivor, the Pete Rock, you know, that one, and that was a hard album too. So when you're putting together an album like this is your first album like this, right? Like compilation, besides the mixtape stuff, this is like your first official grabbing cats. Did you have a model of how you want to do it? Like, did you want it, like, is it like a chronic, sprinkle in a bunch of people, or did you have an album that you kind of like, it's kind of the beacon?
Right. Well, when I think about what I've always wanted to do, which was an album like this, I think about, I reflect back on like, okay, what are my favorite albums? The things that I always grew up loving. And a lot of times they would be compilations. They would be, like soundtracks, movie soundtracks, Above the Rim soundtrack, and Menace to Society soundtrack. And I guess back then it was all about kind of like variety, and then you have like Sound Bombing, Volume 1 and 2. I mean, number 2 was the one. Lyricist Lounge, another compilation. You know what I mean? Like, and then you had like even DITC. I mean, they're a crew, but I mean, they had a bunch of cats on there, so it's like D&D All Stars. I don't know if you remember that album.
Yeah. That was like that was like Buckshot, and then like Black Moon and everybody. Was Gangsta on there, or am I making that up?
It was like DJ Premier, because it was based out of D&D Studio. Yeah, so you had was it like Mad Lion and KRS and I mean, I'm thinking about like the big single, the 1, 2, You know what I mean? Dougie Fresh was on there, so it was a big thing. So on top of that, then you have someone like Pete Rock, who I just absolutely worship. You know, the Soul Survivor album, and so you put that all together, and that's kind of my influence. You know, like it just, I like variety, and all of those things I think are probably going to be the things that I was thinking about. And you know what, honestly, when I was initially putting down together, I was like, you know, I think I'm gonna try to model this after like the Soul Survivor album, because I love the way that it flowed. I love the diversity in it. I mean, of course, Pete Rock raps, I don't rap, but I love that there would be a song, and then there would be kind of a it has like a little instrumental at the end of it, and that ties into the next song. And so I'm like, if I'm gonna do this, and I've always wanted to do this since I was young, why don't I do something that I would want to do, you know, like as if I were a kid. That's basically how I feel. I feel like I'm starting over. So I'm like looking at inspiration from way back in the day. I did my first rough cut of the album, and it very much modeled after Soul Survivor, but I feel like when I got to that point, I didn't feel like it was 100% me. It was like I liked enjoying it maybe from other people, adding the little extra bells and whistles and little interludes and stuff like that. But it just didn't sit quite right. It felt a little bit busy, and I couldn't get it right. And someone like Pete Rock, you know, when he did his thing, he just did it, you know, and it just came naturally. So I was just like, well, why don't I just do whatever feels right and natural for me? So then I kind of dismantled it and rearranged it a bit, but the songs were all there. It's just about how I wanted to present it. You know what I mean?
What was the first song? What was the first song you did off of it?
The Mitchie Slick song, My Shoes song, because so Qua, he is good friends with Mitchie Slick, because they're based out of San Diego. So they've worked together on, you know, like clothing stuff, but they've never worked together on like anything professional, like music wise. So Qua just hit up Mitchie, was just like, hey, I'm putting together this label compilation thing. Before, we weren't even really, just disclaimer, we weren't even really sure what it was going to be, whether it was going to be a label compilation or if it was going to be a Sir Veterano project. So in the beginning, it was just kind of like, well, we'll figure it out later. Let's just make some songs. So he hit up Mitchie, and Mitchie was immediately on it. And he brought in one of his boys, K-Biz, who I hadn't heard of. He's based out of San Diego, but the dude is dope. And really anybody that Mitchie will bring into the studio has to have bars, you know, at least keep up with him. And that was the first song that we did. And that happened, God, I mean, from the inception of the idea of what we were doing to him reaching out to Mitchie Slick to him actually recording it, couldn't have been more than like a month. It was just kind of like boom, boom, boom.
Here we go.
Yeah, and then the next song after that was the Reputable song, and this was before 8 got involved in it. It was just Mitchie Slick, Planet Asia, because Planet Asia was also recording another song for the project. And so then Planet Asia and Mitchie Slick came together on the Reputable song, and we kind of just left it where it was for a second. It's like, okay, we need, you know, we'll finish this a little bit later. Let's just plug in the right person. And I mean, it was off to the races after that. I mean, I would come to Qua and Walt and be like, okay, here's my list. Let's
pick away. Go ahead.
Try to make a miracle happen.
Yeah, here's the hit list, man.
Yeah,
I like how you rolled it out, though. I like how you rolled it out with the Reputable, and like I was telling you before, like on Shade 45, like, man, dude, you got cats everywhere, huh? I thought it was the one behind you. I was like, well, how you get a cat?
My wife and I, we do rescue. So
That's tight. Okay.
so
Ooh,
these guys are gonna get homes, but for now they're just running wild around here. I
that's
can't
some
avoid
real. That's some real insight. See, you know what I mean? That's what the Zoom shit is about. The Zoom thing be like, damn, we didn't know. We take care of cats. Oh, that's crazy.
Yeah,
So you,
no.
uh,
Someone's got to look after them.
that's funky. Yeah, no, I was saying, like, I was telling you like, when you released that first single, I listen
Mhm.
to Shay 45 damn near every day, and like Laura Sears just kept it. He's burning it. Woo, just like it felt like every day, and I thought that was I was just like, damn man, Veterano I'm back. Like I just step back in and just like jump in, and here go the single, and it's hard too. You know what I mean? It's a hard single, but
Oh, thank you, man.
it's dope. I felt like it was a good way to kind of step back in, since you've been, on a hiatus, little break, and step back in, and you're like, wait a minute though, I'm here. You know what I mean? Back in the pocket. That's
Yeah,
fun. So
yeah.
let's talk about like Bishop Lamont. What was the catalyst to that, or what was your theory?
Yeah, so with Bishop, I mean, so Bishop Lamont is someone that I've always wanted to work with. Since when he was with Aftermath, and who didn't want to work with Bishop Lamont at that point? Because not only was he the new face of Aftermath, and I mean, there's that, but also to be allowed to be in the mix with all those great producers, from my standpoint as a producer guy, is just like, yeah, I want to make beats next to literally the best producers in the world, you know what I mean, in hip hop, Knots, and I just it did it.
That was High Tech, Knots, Focus. I mean, everybody. I mean, that was like the.
It was,
you shaking your head like, yeah, that was just the zone right there. Mm-hmm.
yeah. It was just, why wouldn't I want to be involved in that? So, so I've always wanted to work with them, and then the opportunity presented itself because Raz and I, we have a really good relationship. We've always worked with each other, throughout all these years, and so he's a solid dude. He's a homie, and so I reached out to him because I know that he knows Bishop, and I was just like, well, he's really someone that I know that has direct contact with Bishop and knows him really well as well, because they come from the same place. They're all, it's LA, and they're part of like the same kind of circle or whatever. So I was like, maybe this is a way that I could finally get in with Bishop and show him what I have, what I wanted to, show him back in the days, but obviously I couldn't run with DJ Khalil back then. I'm still developing my craft, but I want to be there, but so we linked up, and it was all love. I mean, it was like, now, I talk to Bishop all the time now. We're working on an EP right now. So it's kind of just, it just happens so quickly. Like he's a really good dude. Like just in general, he's like a good person and
nice,
humble. He's just like, he's the ideal artist that you would want to work with. Lyrical. He's you know what I mean? Like he's what he's responsive to things. He likes to kick around ideas. Like he's involved. You know what I mean? Like if we do a song, he'll call me before and we'll have a conversation about it.
Oh,
He's
that's
like,
right.
I want to do and blah blah. And like, what do you think? And we'll joke around most of the time, but it's nice.
That's part of it. See, man, I'm glad you brought that up, because I was like, first, I want to talk about Razcat, because that was like kind of the question that I had right before everything shut down. I was talking about Razcast, and I was saying, I was assuming you guys had like a relationship, going beyond this, because I felt like I've seen you guys. You've worked with them in the past, right? Razcast, yeah. So when did he get on the album? I mean, since that's the homie, did you catch him early, or did you catch him like, oh, I'll catch you later?
Yeah, sorry, I'm looking at making sure my batteries enough to make it through. But I have a backup. My wife just came back, so I'll connect with her if I need to. But yeah, I got up with him early on in the process. I mean, he was like one of the first people I reached out to, because he's always like again, always reliable, always responsive, and he's just always down for whatever I want to do. And the same thing, coming from me too, whatever he needs. So it's like, okay, let me summon the rappers that that are my people, and let's get something going and start to build up a project. Let's paint the picture. And Raz was one of the first songs. I want to say maybe one of the first 3 songs. And I think he was on tour with Onyx and someone else. Yeah, he was on tour, and he was just like, all right, he's like, I'm out of the country right now, but I'm gonna write it on the plane. So I was like, okay. So came back and then knocked that thing out, and we're like, okay, well, here's how Bishop got involved, because Raz didn't do a hook. He was debating on a hook. So we were talking about hook ideas, and but he never laid anything down. He was just like, I'm thinking like this, I'm gonna want to call it like that. And I'm like, okay, well, let's sit on it. Let's see how it feels, and blah, 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 after we listened to it for a little bit. And then I had an open spot there. I was just like, dude, I'm going to get Bishop. Maybe this is the perfect way, to connect with them. You know what I mean? Like nothing major, just like an introduction to, like, hey, I got a song with Raz, are you down? Let's do something. And he was receptive right away, especially being that Raz, made the introduction. He let Bishop know, it's like, this is the homie. So,
Vet, you got vetted. Vet got vetted. He vetted you.
Yeah, that's exactly right. I mean, that's really how relationships work. If you recommend someone, that's it.
So you mentioned something about you and Bishop Lamont going back and forth on the, talking about the song and the development and production of it. There's a lot of producers that would rather just be like, here goes an MP3, here goes a wave, and then just send it back. Oh, here goes. Would you rather be like, kind of more in the middle of it, kind of a little more active? That's how I am, man. If it was up to me, I'd like to record every single vocal. I'm psycho. Like, I want every little, but there's a lot of cats that, they're not tripping like that.
When I first started the project, I wanted to be as involved as I possibly could. The reality is that what I want or what I wanted isn't what reality will allow. Sometimes too, like it's not just, hey, let me go and jump on the freeway for like half an hour and go meet up with Fat Cat in the studio. He lives in Detroit. You know what I mean? Like everyone else is in LA, and like LA's, more probable, but they're just kind of recording at the homie's house or at a studio. Right. But you know what I mean? So you never know, like with artists, like they record often when they want to, or like sometimes it's set up to where I can go down there and get up with these guys, and I like doing that too. I mean, just recently I was with Fashawn and Planet Asia in Fresno, and we were in the same place at the same time, and the vibe was crazy because there's also something that we're working on amongst us 3 as well. So it was kind of like, hey, we're all here. I'm playing beats. They're like, no, not that one. And then they landed on one. I'm like, let's just start writing. So then we just created a song right there on the spot. And being a part of that is also nice. Like that's something that I haven't had as much of a chance to do because of what you just described. You send the song and then they just send back the vocals. In most cases, that's fine. I don't know how I'm going to dictate to, MCA what to write about.
Yeah.
It's just like, he's going to go in there and do what he do, and it's the way that it's going to be. And I'm totally fine with that. You know what I mean? I'm not going to say that. I'm going to stand in the corner and just let him be. But someone that I can work closely with, I think it's beneficial. So someone like Bishop, we're working on something right now with subject matter and direction and production direction. And so, we're both hands-on in both directions. So in the future, I think it'll be a little bit easier, but this time we just needed to get the plane off the ground. And,
That's right.
So we're.
So since I didn't know about the art school, I didn't know about that. So does that mean do you get involved with that? Like, do you, when we had the label, everybody had different chambers. I like to say I was like the Rick Rubin, you know what I mean? I was like the music dude, like, hey, bring it. All right. And then we start, whatever. And then we had Al kind of oversaw the whole thing. He would, here goes some music. Are you involved with the art and or do you let, kind of leave that to somebody else?
Hold on one second. Let me let me try to find my hold on one second.
That's all good.
Sorry, I'm stepping outside. I think my phone now is starting to go downhill. I need your phone. Okay, she says I can't have her phone. All right. This is what marriage is. It's just like, no, get the fuck out of here. That's literally what she said right now.
That's a negative. That's a negative. Sorry.
Hold on. Just hold on one second. I'm gonna get my charger again. Just hang in there for a second. So as far as graphics are concerned, I am involved in that. I am involved in the art direction of some things. Some things I leave it up to the people that are based in doing that. Qua has people. He has people on staff for his clothing company, so it's pretty easy to have them do it. But for example, the album cover, I did the album cover. I didn't do the background or the text, but what I did was I took my wife and I took the photograph. That's my hand there. I literally went outside and then rubbed my hand through mud and leaves, and then came back into my studio workspace, and then put the green screen over me and my wife buried me with records. Whoa. And then so I was just like, I just need you to bury me with records as if I'm coming out of a grave, because this is kind of like me coming back out of the grave, kind of like what I was talking about earlier. And so and then I wrapped some some wire around my arm and my hand, and that's how we did that. So I'm involved in as much as I think as much as I think I should be involved. I don't want to step on anybody else's toes, but for some things I am pretty involved with that. I'd prefer to be in this particular direction or something like that. So it just depends.
Mm-hmm. So you got the reputable, and then Murs. Did he do a video for Cocaine Rap, or am I tripping?
That video is being filmed this weekend.
Oh, Cocaine Rap?
Yeah. Okay. The reason why it wasn't filmed before was because of the pandemic, and Murs is very very particular about who he's around right now. Mm-hmm. with good reason. He's got a family, and we should all be careful. And so the people that he has been around within his bubble happens to be his right hand video director. So it, you know what I mean? So it's kind of worked out in that way. So now we're gonna have a video being shot this weekend, and then you know, the editors and all the film guys are gonna put it together, and then we'll get it out there. The plan originally was to have it released like 2 months ago, but again, because of COVID, it's really dismantled everything. I mean, we can't book studio spaces. We can't get all, you know, can't get everyone to get into a studio to do something, you know, like directors or, you know, like everything just shut down, and I get it. So we had to, you know, bend to the mercy of the pandemic and just kind of do the best that we can. And fortunately, things are starting to get back up and running, and fortunate, and because of that, we'll be able to shoot videos.
Tight. Well, he picked the right person to keep in his bubble. He's like, man, I need you in my bubble, videographer, so we can keep the ball rolling.
Yeah.
Like, hold up.
That's right. Move it to my house. So
Yeah. He's like, pandemic, who do I need? Get in there, dude. That's man, that's funky, man. Well, man, I'm not gonna hold you, man. Thanks for jumping on with me, and you know, I don't know, dude. Like, man, I would love to do another, you know, like a sit down,
Yeah.
you know, and go over the album, and hopefully, you know, I mean, do you plan on doing a lot of videos for it, or, you know, what's the?
Yeah, that's so moving forward, the plan with this album, it's long-term strategy. It's not a build up to one moment and then we just kind of let it fizzle out. Instead, we're kind of reverse engineering this thing in that we're going to put it out, then it's going to start to reach to all the places that we need it to reach by us doubling up on videos. Our plan is to shoot videos for every single song on the album. That should keep the momentum going through the rest of the year. And you know, like, cause you know, I mean, you probably feel this way sometimes too. When you make a song, you know, once it's out, you kind of feel like, okay, it's just going to do what it's going to do. But one of the things that I realize is that just because I've heard it a million times doesn't mean that everyone's heard it a million times. And it doesn't mean that someone in Florida has heard the song at all, or, you know what I mean? So it's like, there's always new territory to build in. And I think that's the new strategy these days in the music business versus how it was before, where you just build up, and then album comes, and then maybe there's a video afterwards, but you know, then you book your tour and you go and do this and that. I'm starting from the ground up again. So I have to build all that back up. And because of that, you know, I'm not in a super rush for it to be as successful as I want it to be. I want it to be successful, but I want it to be done in a genuine way. You know what I mean? I don't want to just, you know, put a lot of money into ads and publicists, you know, when all of that could just be, you know, I'd rather just invest in dealing with people directly, giving people more content and building up that qualities, you know, fan base that everybody needs, you know, to eat off of this, you know what I mean? And so that's why we're kind of like being patient about it. But tomorrow, you know, on July 17th, rather, the album is dropping. I'm excited for it. I hope other people who've been looking forward to hearing this, because we've teased it quite a bit. And I apologize to everyone if you're listening who saw us rolling this out earlier on in the year, but the pandemic kind of just kicked everything sideways. But we're back on schedule for the most part, and you're going to get to see all the things that, you know, that we've been working on, because we do have videos that haven't come out yet. We are also now working on a deluxe version of the album. So we are recording and creating at this very moment, and we got some more big surprises on the way.
Damn, I like that. I like the whole idea though, because it's like a slow burn. Like you're just kind of letting it build up. As the videos come out, there's gonna be more. You're just adding more building blocks to it, and then instead of being like, let's shove all the resources in the front and hope it like, oh, let's drop the whole bomb just went off, and then everybody's done and tired, and all right, we'll move on to the next project.
Right.
Whereas you get one song, build it, and then it's gonna take a life of its own. You know what I mean? As it's growing over the time. It's tight. I like that idea.
I mean, it seems to be the new way of doing things. I really am changing my perspective on how to build these days. It's more of the long game now. It's people getting to know you and familiar with your brand and your. I hate saying the word brand, but
It's cool. It's cool. I feel you. Mm-hmm.
That that's some of the terms that publicists throw at you. You gotta have a brand and blah blah blah. And I'm like, I get it, but I just like being me and just making my music. But there is a professionalism that has to come along with it. So as we're building that up, it's just gonna solidify more fans and people to check me out later on, and some of the other artists that are on the album, introduce people to new artists, and it's the long game now. It's just what it is. You can't rush into it anymore. It's just got to be what it is now.
It's the long game. Damn, we'll end it on that, man. Hey, man, I appreciate it, dude. Hey, I'm gonna catch you. And hey, text me your address so I can send you, some merch or whatever. You know the routine. Send you some fly stuff. And man, dude, congratulations.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
I would love to, and that's what I was gonna do. I was gonna, if you can, I was gonna ask you about that. That way I can take some pictures, send it over to you. You know what I mean? Like let's, build it up a little bit. And just generally speaking, though, what did you think of the album?
Let me see. The first time through, I'm trying to think. I liked. Well, you started it tight with the Casual. That shit was ill. That shit was tight. That shit was funky.
Which one?
Casual. The Casual song. The Over the Head.
That was like that's like the 10th song in.
Is it? No, I mean, is it? I'm saying on mine. Damn, dude. Oh, I got it. Oh, it's all bad. I got the bad. I got the bad. Yeah, it is number 10. Oh, I gotta go, dude. Okay. All right, well. I'm like, there. I listened to it completely wrong. I hate listening to stuff like that. I listened to it completely wrong. I got like the intro, and then it goes 10, 11. Oh man.
Yeah, the first song is that's actually Bishop on the intro. He didn't want to be named on it, but first it's the Gathering intro, then it's the Raz, Kaz, and Bishop song, then it's Fashawn.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah.
I mean, I like what I would say. I'm trying to see. Damn, since the order is all bad, I can have a hard time even. I don't want to elaborate too much because I mean, like the order to me is like that's a major, like that plays a big role in the whole thing.
Yeah. Well, how about this? Give it another listen in order, and then tell me your thoughts.
I mean, just off of raw, I like how there was one song where you flipped the ending of it. I think it was the Mitchie, one of the Mitchie song or the Mitchie song. I like that was hard.
No, that's the MED.
MED. Oh, okay. That was hard. It was like I like that extra sauce. You know what I mean? When you just like the song is done, but then it tweaked into something else. That was dope. I gotta get back on. Let me listen to the whole thing in the real order.
Okay.
You know what I mean? But I mean, dude, some of them, it sounds, it has like a updated NWA vibe. You know what I mean? Like I think even as for some reason I may be leaning on that Mitchie song. It felt like with the break beats, it felt like it was like an up to date NWA. You know what I mean? Which is kind of hard to me.
So, well, so you know that everyone knows the sample that's on the Mitchie Slick song. You know, that's the Bob James Nautilus sample, and I was always. And you know, I'm like, okay, I've always loved that sample. Hip hop has always loved that sample. But I was like, I wonder if I could get Mitchie Slick to rap on something like hip hop like that, you know, like really traditional in that sense. You know what I mean? And I was like, okay, let me put together a beat that's like that. So I went heavy on the bass and you know, threw some nice, you know, East Coast mellow but hard hitting drums, and then throw the Nautilus sample in there. You know what I mean? Like I really wanted to. My whole objective with that song was to get Mitchie Slick to rap on something that's like super well known in hip hop, and just kind of change the vibe of it a little bit, and you know, that's how it came out to be. But yeah.
That's I always think of the same. That's kind of the idea. Is like that's kind of the vibe I'm always in, where I'm like, let me try to get like how do you get Turf Talk to rap over a DJ Premier beat? You know what I mean? How do you get, you know, that's kind of like, that's what I'm always thinking, like the way you broke that down, like how do you get Mitchie Slick on some super hip hoppy and have him still feel like, you know, he can get off and do what he does. That's funky, man. I like that theory.
That's basically what it is. And even MCA, I mean, you know, MCA just kept on coming to my mind with it. I was just like, you know, it's a hard beat, but it's also kind of just like hip hop, and he jumps on stuff like that.
Yeah, he does.
You know, but you know, it's about like trying to not necessarily make the artist fit into certain peg, you know, like make, you know, you take a peg, you put it into a slot that fits. So you know, it's a little bit of awkward fitting, but I mean, he went on there like super easy, you know what I mean? And I like that vibe, you know, with when you could just kind of like bring a hybrid almost, you know what I mean? Like kind of like marry the two styles together, and it, you know, it could come out good, you know? So I feel you on that when you're doing that yourself.
I think you did it. I think you did, because it's like, you know, it's like DJ Muggs, you know, it's the same type of vibe, you know, where it's like the fusion. Oop, you sideways now. You got stuck. I don't see him pop back on, so we'll just hold it off right there, man. DJ Ambush. Catch that album, Veterano, The Gathering.